Let us know that you are here. Give us a thumbs up, say hi, let us know where you are tuning in on. I've hidden Steve and Lee for the time being, so you just get me for the first 30 seconds or so while we get you guys all in. Let us know when you're here. Let us know that you can hear me okay. And we'll give you guys 30 seconds to jump in until I hand this straight over to Steve. I'm just going to make sure I can see the live video feed. Morgan's already hit like, so I know Morgan's here. Hey Morgan, hope you're doing awesome. Is anyone else here already? I'm just loading up the video. Hit like, say hi, let us know that you are here. Today talking about how to add ridiculous, well hopefully for me, distance. I am notoriously not the longest hitter in our group. Longest drive to game, and I'm pretty sure that's only because I was the only one left on the fairway, which I'll take, but I'd like to add a few more yards to my drive for sure. Who else here is looking forward to adding more yards to their drives? Let us know. Say yes, 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 please, whatever. Just let us know. Going. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand you guys straight over to Steve. I'm going to switch my camera off. I'm going to go and sit in the background and just learn like you guys are. I want to absorb a lot from this, so I'm going to be asking questions. As you go through, feel free to ask questions, but we're not going to answer them at the beginning. We're going to pick a few questions and answer them at the end. I'll go through and make sure that I take note of all the good questions that come in. So feel free to keep questions as you go. Chat on the video. Communicate each other as we go live. So awesome. What I'm going to do now is hand you guys straight over. Steve, big welcome for Lee. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks, Chris, for the intro, and welcome, guys. Good to have you back again on another Facebook Live. Numbers are growing. I can see that we're people in the group, so an absolute privilege to have arguably the best long drive coach, probably one of the most decorated long drive coach in the world at the moment, and a very good friend of mine that I've spent lots of long nights talking to golf swing. Lee Cox is with us this evening.
Hello, boy. Good to see you, Steve. And yeah, we spent many a time together. Nice to be there, mate.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so it makes a change coming up at the back.
Yeah, thanks to you snoring all night.
Not quite. Okay, so let's get started then, Lee. We've got a schedule. We're going to get into the nitty gritty and our top 3 tips that we're going to come on to. But just really with a little bit about you, Lee. Tell us about you, where you started and how you got into long drive. What kind of made you choose that over just teaching golf swing?
Well, there was a bit of planning and a luck involved. I was a busy coach in North London, and in about 2003, a young Joe Miller, I met him, and his dad first came to ask me about coaching him. I've been coaching a lot of players. He said, "Can I bring my son to you? He's interested in having to go a long drive." So I said, "Yeah, of course I will." And I got in the car and drove home and suddenly realised I didn't know anything about long drive. So in 2002, 2003, I'd agreed to a project that I didn't know anything about, but things like that. I had been interested in distance and speed. I went long drive, Zubac, Pfister, names. So it was something that sparked an interest in me. And it really started from that point, but started rudely. Man in those days. So we know that you love a bit of technology.
Only a little bit.
No force plates. A little bit of video, but not a huge amount. So we started in a real crude way, collecting of long drivers, big hitters. Looked at the fitness. Joe in those days wasn't a big man. I mean, he's a huge man now. He then went off on his own, working to become a instructor. I then got into lots of different bits from swing. I then tried to contact some guys out in America, biomechanics, speed training, and it grew along the job from that point. So probably 2002, 2003 was when we started that journey.
Okay, amazing. So you, with sort of swing sequences, then that gave you kind of what you saw, kind of, you know, what you needed to do to Joe to get him to move it as fast. Did he show any signs of being quick at the start then, apart from he's like built this big like a that covers two doors?
An interesting one, Stephen, those days goes early 2000s, which off the back 1990s, distance through resistance, keeping your feet flat on the floor, practice stretches on. The first time I see you jumping all over the place, moving a ball, jumping feet spinning, I think it's a bit strange. As I studied a little sequencing amongst the greats of the 50s and a lot of other guys. To answer your question, where I found that he was long, I'd obviously see a few shots and thought, well, it's pretty long, but a lot of people say they're long. And he played with who I knew, who came in to see me after the game and said, that lad you're teaching, I've never seen anybody hit the ball that far. He said he wasn't yards, he was that's the sort of point that I raised. And I thought, geez, so maybe he is that long, because we still couldn't measure at this point. In 2005, he entered the European Championship and he won it with 7-4. Now, slightly, but it wasn't that downhill. You know what I mean? So I tell you, when the tour players hit it 370, tour players carried 300 yards. So he was down on a fair rolling. So it was 4.74 and downhill, but 4.7 for human do. So that was that point, the 20 yards. So that was really 2005 when we realised that he was a different level to us.
Okay. And his first title was long drive. Title came in on.
Oh, that was a European. That was the first one he entered to start properly. Yeah.
So he started the first one he won.
Yeah, European Championship. I think he might have entered one before that, very, very early days, and then he started going over to the States. He mastered. So basically, the World Long Drive Tournament with about 10 players all over the world, and it whittles down, end up with 150, and then they go through to the day, and then you end up with the last 16 or 8 that are on telly. So Joe made the last 8 in 2008, and he didn't win it. First time. 2008, you really arrived at that point.
Okay.
And then roll 2 years, he won the world.
Wow. 2010.
2000. He repeated that back in 2016, and to be honest, he probably could have won 3 or 4 world titles. So at that point, at this point, he's the only man outside Europe. He's the only man outside America, Canada, who have won the world championship. I mean, when we started off, everyone was said it done. It's a sport dominated by Americans and Canadians. It can be done. He's done it. And on the back of him doing that, he's spurred on a whole generation. And on the back of him, you've got James Tate, Martin Borgmeyer, Brooks. At this point, mainly by him and his success, there's 5 years in the top 25 in the world.
Amazing.
At the point, in all the early years, I knew him. He was the only one. He was the main man. No one else. But do you know what? You need role models in life sometimes. And when you see someone achieve something, it's like you think you might achieve it as well, eh?
Yeah, amazing. Absolutely. And just to explain a little bit to the viewers, the drive, what do they have to do? What is the event all about? What is their target? What are they aiming for? Some people think it's open field.
I guess for the average person looking out there, it's a bit like a discus event or a javelin. Apart from you include the roll, so you have a grid. It's not quite where the ball lands; it's where it lands and rolls. It has to land in the grid and stay in the grid. It can't roll out and come back. The average grid is 50 yards.
50 yards wide. Wow, that's like a tour fairway, then, isn't it? Width.
The fairways are just over 30, but if you're hitting a shot of 400 yards, it plays slightly narrower than a fairway. Okay. So the 50 yards wide comes right in at the 400 yard mark, because obviously the further you hit the ball, the further it can go offline. It's changed a little bit. It was 6 balls, then it's to 8 balls. This year it's to 8 balls, and you have 2 minutes 30 seconds to hit them in. Okay. It doesn't matter if you get out by 1. You can win with 1 ball. Most of the top guys like to get 2 in or 3 in. And the other sort of great myth or thing that people don't understand, that all the equipment they're using is legal, not illegal. So most people say to me, where'd you buy those illegal clubs? They're not. If they're legal, 48 is the legal limit. So you, I, Chris, anybody could use a 48. Most 47s is equipment. The lofts are low, the shafts are very flex and the torque. but it's equipment average man can legally use.
So yeah, a little bit about that then on the width that they're hitting to. That blows away that myth then, because I hear it all the time. Oh, they're long, but straight then, are they? They are.
I would always argue to anyone, try it in the 400-yard ball to 1 degree driver. You better be deadly straight. So what people don't understand as well, to keep the science simple, if you imagine an aeroplane sort of banking right or left, why reduce loft off the club further? It makes the aeroplane more right or left. So actually using equipment that's more difficult to use than your average player.
Yeah.
So there's this the myth that they're all big beasts that are just hitting the ball anywhere. Then, and also, Steve, you know this as a fact. Joe plays off. If we have a knock around, we play him off +1 or +2. James Tate played off +2. Jordan Brooks a pro. Martin Bournemeyer's off 1. Cole Berkshire, the current world champion that dominated last year, I think was off +4 at one point.
+4.
Playing top level college golf. Such a myth. I probably know 2 or 3 drivers or very good who aren't players, but they're good, great drivers.
Okay. Righty. Well, there's a good sort of history of what you've done, how you got there, and in particular talking about Joe, and especially in the beginning how you started it all, because I think it's easier now because we measure how to do that. And all right, so that kind of then into the nitty gritty now then. So our guys have kind of tuned in to get 3 top tips from you. Some 3 things that can do swinging the club that's going to make them generate more speed and hit it further.
Sure. So I mean, if we go over 3 things, I'll just come up with a few different things that will be relevant to your average golfer sitting at home at the moment. So a lot of people will come to me and they want to hit the ball further, and they'll always go towards the one thing that they think that's going to make it, which is clubhead speed. What we know as a fact is that there's 2 speeds, speed, and there's ball. So this is an transfer idea. So it's interesting to see where most people, this applies to most people I teach, not pros, not pro long drivers, lack ball speed. So this will be a glancing blow. You can glance the ball in 3 different ways, as you know, Steve. Path to face, the bigger this gap between the path and the bigger the glance.
Yeah.
The less you hit the more you hit off the toe or the heel. It's a glancing blow. Then if we on the other way, the loft of the angle of attack, the bigger that gap there, the glancing blow. So the big thing that the person walking through the door can, to add to this average player, eliminate those glancing blows and to get those power leaks down. Many people on the driving range, hours and hours in a speed up, but they can't hit a good shot anyway, Steve. You know what it's like when you're teaching. A 40-yard fade with no compression on the ball, they would have done better spending their time on that. So the number one thing that would help me is if a person going to the range, and these days different to like when me and you started, it's going to be measured, mate, can't they? Yeah. You can see these differences. To your pro, ask him what power leaks are, get on that one. And a lot of people watching optimizers on. This is telling potentially the motion of your club and your ball. And I would have this someone like, what's the club head speed like? And what can I initially go to make the person hit the ball further? And I would go down the line of getting rid of some of those glancing blows, mate. They're killers for your average player.
Okay, so they could something like the club face with powder and get out the middle as much as.
Well, if you're looking at the least high tech way, it's pretty obvious whether the ball's going too far to the right or too far to the left.
Yeah.
I think is interesting as well is that people have got this myth going that draws go a lot further than fades, yeah. But fades can be very good shots if they're done very well. They can go as far as draws, yeah. Okay. So it might be a better case for someone. Say someone had a terrible slice. If they could turn that into a power fade, which would be much more achievable than getting the other side of drawing it, yeah? That would make them hit it 20, 30, 40 yards longer. I mean, going back to the long drive game all those years ago, when the king, Jason Zuback, I remember when he was out playing, he was hitting these high shots that were fading, and people were asking me, how's that slice going? So how a shot launching up here with fade could actually win a long drive event. So getting your ball flight, the launch distance, you alluded to centre strike. On the coaching tee every day, Steve, you'll agree with this. I've got people when they're practicing, unless they're very good players, I'll ask them whether they've hit it out the toe or the heel, Steve, and they don't know.
Okay.
They don't know whether it's up the toe, the heel, the high, the low. They don't know what part of the face it is. So if you're going to make it, say for instance, you hit a lot of shots out the toe, which you and I know is a huge power league.
Yeah.
If the person doesn't even know they're hitting it there, they can't start to make the adjustment to know why they're doing it.
Yes.
So what you were saying, spraying as a first point. If you don't want to buy spray, I sometimes do it with a black marker pen. Just mark it on the ball. Just put it on the middle. You'll get a nice mark off that you can wipe. And then if you're getting flights that are too high, too sky and not going anywhere, if you see that your ball's landing and it doesn't have any run, because if you really got into the long drive world, your ball has to be landing at a certain angle. And when it lands, it needs enough speed to keep going. It needs to land just under 40 degrees. So if you see your ball stopping, or if you get down there in the weather and the pitch mark is next to your ball, you know you've got a problem with your ball flight, yeah? The first of anyone coming through the door, let's have a look at club speed, let's have a look at the ball speed, let's plug those power leads, so working with your swing, go on a speed, because everyone's coming to me before you go on a speed mission. You find the same?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I like that strike test, you know, whether it's a dot or marker dot, just, you know, with a permanent marker or a board marker, or the powder spray, the athlete's foot powder over the face. I've been as crude as using Lynx antiperspirant out of athlete powder, just spray antiperspirant over the face, and then ask them, you know, take the club away from them and where did he hit it? And then they think it's toe is heel and heel is toe, understanding where it is in the sweet spot.
Yeah, it can get so extreme. You'll come from a to the right with an eye, and they think they've toed it, they've shanked it.
Yeah.
And if you're that far, which part of the club you're in the off, you need to find out first of all from your coach, whoever's looking after you, even from a bit of discovery. What's the first thing I need to deal with? Is it that slice? Is it the missed strike? Am I hitting it so low that it's not getting up in the air for long enough? Best thing to do, you know, go and see someone like you who's got the equipment to measure, and then from then you'd build a plan what they wanted to do or needed to do.
Absolutely. After that, so Chris has written that down in the group then. So let's talk about number 2, your top 2 second tip for generating speed and distance.
So one of the most overlooked things, and probably we're just talking about myths that you'd see, this sort of old idea that low and slow, so I sort of stood up here and swing, you know, low and slow. Now, it was a myth that was taken around for many years, that going low and slow, but it doesn't work like that at all. So what you'll find is these are measuring the rhythm of your swing, and for the best in the world, they need a downswing is 3 times faster than their backswing. And actually, from a force point of view, there's double the force than there is in the backswing. This is slightly different to short game.
Yeah.
So if you really want to swing it fast, you need to have a faster backswing. Not only does it move you quicker into a lovely tempo, there are outliers. People always want to say to me about Matsuyama or someone, yeah? Whatever you say off, there's always an outlier. There's always 1 or 2 double. The fastest backswings in the world are the long drivers. The next fastest backswings in the world are men pros. The next fastest are pros. So get away from this really slow. From a muscular point, if you swing back fast, as you lose direction, this creates a great stretch across the system. So what's happening if you swing it back slow, you lose that muscle activity as you change direction. And that directional change needs to be dynamic. So, you know, as we're swinging back here, this sort of slow swing and then moving, there's nothing but get a bit faster, change direction. It's one of the things I see and I hear all the time in my teaching, but I've been trying to take it away low and slow, yeah? You need to get those ideas out of your mind. There's very good tempo measuring things online to a tempo. Get some great law like that. So it's a real big thing for me that you can't do it. If people love drills at home, so a couple of little drill takeaways. Motion's everything. So one of the things I've found with long drive over the years, Steve, is that positions, which was a big thing of the 90s, yeah?
Yeah.
So you see someone there, you see some ranger, and they'll be getting here. Next week you see him here, and the thing never flows. It never flows. But long drivers flow beautifully, so do pros. So if I was in the gym, I'd have Swiss balls, just moving it forward and back. And not only do you see my backswing has some pace to it, building in what I'd call a trigger move, a forward push from here. And a drill that I really use a lot for people too low and slow is I start the club here, Steve, as they're going to swing, and I get them, they're going to hit the ball. I get them to swing forward first by about a foot. So I go forward and then backwards and then get them to hit it.
Yeah, I love that one.
Their swing's flowing, it's moving. And one of the things I learned from long drive many years ago is don't get stuck into too many positions. The thing's got to flow. The muscle activity's got to happen. You've got to get your body engaged in it. So low and slow, you know, Matsuyama, I know someone will say that, but 99.9% of the golf world, that they don't do it. They just don't do it. One of my students broke the world club and ball speed record. Sorry, the ball speed record the other week, yeah? Now, my man who measures tempo when I do fitness with, he measured it as the fastest tempo swing ever recorded. I'll send it to you later. So, all the long drive guys have fast swings, so don't go into this low and slow. It doesn't work.
So here's something then. You could get like switch your club upside down, so hold the club end at your grip and have the grip end at the bottom and get it to whoosh on the way back. Yeah,
so I stand around long drivers all day. You quite often hear their club going back as well as you do down. It's just that feeling of going too slow on the back. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work.
Okay, good stuff. Love that. Let's crack on with number 3 then. Give it to us.
So fake news, or let's call it a fake turn, yeah. So
fake news.
Daily in the bay. So you get someone coming in. And what they'll be doing is they'll be here and they'll be trying to move their shoulders or generally just their arm. They're just not using anything here. So what separates long drivers from the rest of the planet is they have the fastest lead arms, front arms. They've got the fastest lead arms in the world. These are driven by the engine of your body. So if you think about it, we don't have enough horsepower in our arms, okay, to actually drive a golf club. We need our body to do it. You're not going to turn up to a discus tournament trying to throw it with your arms, Steve. Yeah, you might need to get your body involved a little bit.
Understand, yeah.
So one of the things, actually, it was something that robbed me a little bit of speed when I was younger. So if I jump up on my sofa here, I was told to keep my knees against this line on the way back and turn.
Oh, yeah.
And not only did it do my back no good, it was a complete distance robber. So, again, I think this is changing, actually, as you see Dustin, Bubba, and we were talking Sam Snead earlier, you know, with that beautiful pillar, the man who won in more decades than any other man not injured.
We'll pull up a picture of Sam Snead shortly, Lee, as well.
Yeah, you've got that big excellent. So we'll see his legs. So people became afraid in their knees and their legs. Now, you're in the pressure game business. You use force plates, yeah?
Yeah.
So we see that really good players get onto their tails. People got frightened. It's like they're wearing divers boots, Steve. They don't want to move their feet, yeah?
Yeah. Someone super glued their feet to the ground. I was told when I was a kid, steady feet work a treat.
Yeah, that's right. And keep your knees steady. But these guys are always changing some flex in their knees. And what actually happens as a very simple biomechanical eye, you want to move your legs. It's not your hips that are moving your hips. It's the top of your legs. So this right thigh goes backwards and the top of that left goes forward. And that happens as you move your thigh bones around. That's why it moves your pelvis. So
we've got Snead up on here then. We've got Snead up on the screen now. So we look at left foot of Snead. The left heel has come off the ground slightly. The left knee has gone in. The left thigh has gone in to allow him to turn more, right?
And you know,
so he's doing this here. If I bring my camera down, he's doing that, right?
Correct. A huge pelvic turn, and this was really the case of a lot of the greats. So before you had the sort of 70s, you've got Miller, Nicholas, Watson, and there was a period where a lot of people were frightened of moving their legs. That picture, that very famous picture, was taken in 1953 at Wentworth at the Ryder Cup. Snead already there, over 40 years of age. Now, one of the things that you know as well, Steve, is that moving the handle, okay, a certain distance allows you to apply more force on the club. So by moving a longer back, he looks like he's an 18-year-old, that swing there. So not only is he using that free motion of his legs it's allowing him to move this a little further. He looks, as I say, you wouldn't believe that's a man over 40, but you could look at pictures of him at 50, 60, 70, and it doesn't look much different. Yeah. And he went a period of time without injury. Now, I'm a bad advert for restricted leg action because I've got no back left. So not only for the person sitting at home who wants to hit it further, they want to enjoy their golf career. They want to play on their hobby. They want to play for 10, 20, 30, 40 years. So not only will it free it up, a TPI, which if a few of the people haven't heard out of home, which is the Titleist Performance Institute, they believe that most golfers over 40, because of ankle flexibility decreasing, will probably be worth investigating lifting their heel, moving their knee in. So if you feel like your knees want to move around, and if you feel like your heels want to move up and down a little bit, get them going. Don't be frightened of it. I've seen no correlation really by moving legs around and loss of control. I know a few people say to me, I don't want to do that. I feel like I've lost control doing. I don't really see anything get worse because of those moves.
Yeah, I mean, I'm absolutely love that. I mean, I've taught that to so many people. Let the left heel just relax a little bit, and they've got to go and try out and find where they can go to, because they're a point of diminishing return, isn't there, where they lift it too much. And obviously, we're as long as increasing rotation, and that isn't making the golfer do that and move off the golf ball too much that they can't get back to it. Yeah, obviously, we know that there are athletes out there that can get back and they get power from that, but for these guys that would be quite detrimental. So as long as maybe put a pen in their mouth so they know how much they're moving off the ball, and then play with that left heel, and so they know roughly how far they're moving, and they get that full rotation, right?
Yeah, I think as well, as you said, it's a bit of suck it and see. So if you looked at sort of a good hip movement here, Steve, so the middle heel, they call it the origin, yeah?
Yeah.
So basically what's happening when you're looking at someone's hips moving around, that's the middle bit staying quite still, but the right bit will go back and the left bit will go forward, yeah?
Yeah.
It will go forward. The standard sort of measurement for that's 40, 45 degrees, yeah?
Yeah.
I'd say to someone at home, if they were trying that movement, keep the middle quite still, allow the right to go back. If at that point they feel like their left heel, if they're right-handed, wants to leave the ground, let it go. You'd agree with this because you measure force. Even someone like Rory, who when you view him from the front, looks like his feet are flat on the floor. I've seen lots of video from behind, and his heel's off the ground a little bit.
Yeah.
You just can't see it from the front view. So even for the youngsters who aren't doing that, the pressure is coming off that heel. Now, you know force better than anyone. So even if you're not lifting it, the actual weight can come off the heel a little bit, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree with that. There are pressures on their left foot toe. It's not on their heel. He's not trying to keep his heel on the ground and forcing it in. 100%. Yeah.
And that's the great thing with the technology you're using. That to the naked eye, on one view from the camera, you'd bet your house on the fact McIlroy wasn't moving his feet around, but you can actually measure on your machinery that is happening. And just that toe to heel movement. I think that's another, as part of the bigger point, is that to take your force plate sort of technology and simplify it, basically you're measuring a bit of the right to lefty stuff, yeah?
Yeah.
I'll make terminology up as I go along here, Steve. Yeah? The right to lefty stuff. and a bit of the toe to heely stuff, yeah?
Yeah, yeah.
Very much on a daily basis in the bay. When I start talking about people's feet moving toes to heel, they've never considered this idea. But we know from your force plates and information that that's the driver of rotation, yeah?
Yeah.
So if a person has never considered, everyone's considered moving right to left, you've never considered moving to heel to toe, open your brain up to much movements. People don't even consider. They think of the side to side, but never the front to back, the toe to heel.
Absolutely. Yeah, if you had ice skates on, the ice skates doing this. So left foot going, left foot forward, right foot backwards, that way.
Correct.
100%.
I can't stand up on an ice rink, you?
Definitely not, no. I tend to spend more time on the ice, down on my arse, than I do on my feet, that's for sure. Cool. Okay, brilliant. So we got our kind of 3 tips then. So Chris has sort of listed them up. So 11 blows, find the middle. of the face. Do some little tests with maybe some powder or something, just to have a little look marks on the golf ball if you're over on the practice ground. See where you're hitting it.
Even these days, Steve. 10 years ago, launch monitors were tough to get. Yeah, all the ranges around me have got top tracer. Now, a lot of people have heard of the smash factor, which is the energy transfer idea. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to the range and see where top tracer, because then that will give you, and you can get that on the practice session. That will give you the fact that you're glancing something, and then you know better than I do. Then go and see a pro and get it sorted out.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I see that. And we've got quite a lot of guys, there's been quite a lot of talk in our group that are buying launch monitors. So the Garmin AT, I think it's PGR, is it? Is that PTR, PGR, that other radars, the swing speed radars that give you a bit of club, ball speed and smash.
Yeah.
You can buy inexpensive launch monitors now, can't you?
Yeah, the new, there was always the SSR, which measures speed, swing speed radar, the little white box. And this week has come over from Japan for the first time, PRGR, which actually is a Japanese golf company. I think it's about £190, but it does measure ball speed, smash factor, carry, spin, I think. But it does measure those with practice swings and with hitting the ball. Good bit of kit, and it works. For that price. Me and you have bought lots of cheap equipment that don't work.
Yeah, remortgaging a house at the same time. I certainly get these questions in the group all the time. People asking about these radars now. One that I put forwards on your recommendation then, which is good. It gives them a little bit of data when they're practicing. So number 2 then, no more low and slow. Let's pick up the tempo a bit on the backswing, make it a bit faster, get the muscles activated. Suck it and see, find out what you can do. I've actually got it on my phone, the Tour Tempo, which I've got there, that app there, the Tour Tempo training app, which you can buy for next to nothing on the thing. That helps you with tempo.
Can you play the 24/8 tempo, Steve, with the noise? So, start.
Yeah.
Here's a funny one, Steve. So this has been measured. Now, these guys measured 100,000 pros or something ridiculous, yeah? So that is start, top, hit. I must have had 10 people in the bay, and they were here.
They're finished by the time they got halfway back. So we've got dun. Yeah. Wow. I mean, that's fast, isn't it? I mean, I looked at like, Jesus, I don't move it that fast. So that is brilliant to give you those points where positions you should hit on the beat.
Yeah, and those numbers, I said 24/8, that basically something where you put in the video and it measures the frames back 24 and it measures the frames down 8.
The 10 bit on the backswing.
And that means that your swing 24/8 is 24 frames down, so hence the reason they get that 3-to-1 ratio.
Okay, cool. And then the third one, then don't be kind of use your feet a little bit, and a bit Sam Snead, lift the left heel a tad and get a bit of turn in there.
I need one because one, he's one of my favourite drivers of the ball. Second, he looks good, but he played an awful long time and won longer than anyone else without injury. But he has magic. Yeah. He has magic leg actions. Probably the best leg action of anyone who ever played golf. And I think we just got away in the 90s from having great leg action. It was all about resisting, holding, not moving your feet. It just took the athletic movement away from a lot of people and turned it into a positions game, not a motion game. Players have great motion, as you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think I've seen pictures of pros, their legs being held and their feet being held down while they're hitting balls, right? So in the 90s was being restricted down, which may be, I don't know. I mean, it's depends what you're looking at, but
I think times have changed a little bit. I mean, we were talking here with regards to your average player, so I was talking from a power injury prevention perspective. If you look at say Faldo, who an awful lot of majors then, and he says himself, port him now 20, 30 years to this time, he couldn't win anything, doesn't hit it far enough.
Yeah.
So he was a man of his time. So what we'd see at that point, he was winning everything, but not hitting it very far. So it worked then brilliantly. He probably wouldn't have given his time again to change it the other way.
Okay, cool. There we go then, guys. So we've got, Chris has put up there, Matthew Wolf. Yep, lift in left heel. He's probably, so we got Bubba with that lift heel. We've got Matthew Wolf.
Yeah, Matty Wolf's got the big trigger move as well. And his knee really comes out. So
he's got that marching move going on, hasn't he?
Yeah, Matt Wolf is taught by George Gankus. George is a man of speed and motion, so it would make sense why George Gankus said that he turned up with that move. He just didn't strip it out of him.
Yeah, didn't take it out and catch it out.
Athletes move like athletes, and once you talk for a long time, you know what to leave alone. Yeah.
Yeah.
So although it might look funky, it was working brilliantly for him. You wouldn't leave it alone.
Yeah. Yep. There we go then. So there's our top 3 tips then, and I think we're pretty much. I think if we could take one of them out and add that, if you can add all 3, fantastic. But try them, give them a go when you're down in the garden, whether you're hitting balls in the net, if a little launch monitor, I'll see what you can get. Have a play with, and our guys post your swings in the group. Or look at these moves. So. Okay, then, Lee, thanks very much for that. Chris, what have we got? Questions? It'd be fantastic to, if anything, if we can hand it over to our viewers now, if they've got any they'd like to ask Lee, or have a little look coming up here. Yep. Okay. So, Lee, a few questions coming in then. Should they? We got Matthew Wolf, current example. Should they lift the heel on irons too?
Well, the motion would be a bit smaller. Remember what we said is that there's always heel to toe motion. There's always that's not there. But if you're playing a controlled iron shot, that motion, because you're looking for control, will obviously be smaller. So, and there are many other factors depending on flexibility, but that movement will be there. It would be. Imagine there was a volume, a speed knob, yeah?
Yeah.
I want it to be a long driver. I'm going to turn it right up. But I want to hit a 9-iron or a 7-iron. I'm just going to turn it down a little bit. So the motion and the feet are there, but you volume at it.
Okay. So, yeah, use it like a volume dial then, guys. Lift the heel for the shot. Probably for your short ones, you're not going to have any one at all. So that's good. Equipment. Can you repeat the equipment? Was that what the long drivers use, or equipment for the average guys? Oh, the radar. What was the radar again? Can you repeat the name of the radar that you?
Okay, so
affordable.
SSRs are pretty good. Now I believe there's a world shortage on SSRs because everyone's in the garden at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
SSRs. Then it's just come over. It's just come out. I think it comes in this week. It's called PRGR. It's actually a famous Japanese company. PRGR. The company that are selling them are Super Speed. Most people have heard of Super Speed. The PRGR launch monitor. It's very good. I've tried it. As long as you follow the instructions, you have to put it behind you and you have to change it for practice swings and hitting the ball. It's excellent. I measured the data on it. It's for the money. It's not 20,000. It's £189. It's good.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. After you mentioned that this morning, I had a little look and had a peek at that. So yeah, it looks really easy to set up rather than the SSR, which sits next to the ball. Right. This one's down the ball line a little bit, and you use it there.
Yeah, you can move it to the front. And even SSRs, the ones that have been around they're pretty inaccurate. Well, sorry, they're sort of accurate, but they're not deadly accurate. But I don't know if the scales in my bathroom are accurate. But I do know whether I've been losing the weight since I've been stuck in my house. Yeah, I've been getting bigger or smaller. So any of those machines, even if they're not super accurate, if you know what they're like, Steve, they throw it at crazy 200 miles an hour or 1 mile an hour.
Yeah.
If you took 20 swings, just averaged it out, you work on your swing a little bit, and then in another 2 weeks' time, you do it again and you remeasure, you do know whether you're getting faster or slower.
Yeah, absolutely. You're measuring from the same device. You're not measuring from another device, which is doing it a different way.
100%.
Okay. Question in from Robin then. As swing speed increases, is it better to hit up on the ball 2 degrees, or will that lose distance with too much height? Being a thing, that would be then, wouldn't it?
Okay, so there's 2 answers to that. The best player, the biggest hitters in the world have the highest angles of attack in the world.
Yeah, so, and why is that?
Let's take a Joe. He hits it 10 up.
Why does he hit it 10 up?
Sorry, mate?
Why does he hit it 10 up?
Okay, so what they're able to do is they launch the angle of attack, not loft. So going back to the compression idea, because he's hitting so much up on it, he can launch the ball through angle of attack. It's the reason he can use a 1 degree driver. And if you've got angle of attack and a 1 degree driver, you squash the hell out of that. That's compression, by the way, not what anyone else thinks is compression, which is hitting down on it.
Yeah.
This is hitting on it with compression. Now, there's a very, if you then if you weren't swinging it at all, it's worth going down the avenue of changing your angle of attack to go more up. It's a myth that hitting it high done very well goes distance. It's a myth. Hitting it high because you're not hitting it good is a difference. So if you can launch it correctly, high launch, low spin is the magic, yeah? For tour players, they know that hitting up goes a bit further, but the tour average at the moment is still 1 down, as you know.
Yes.
So don't be. So so you get what they call a peak height, which is the average lady pro in the world hits it about 80 foot in the air. The average man in the world hits it about 90 foot in the air. The harder you hit, and the average long drive guy hits it 150 foot in the air. There is no correlation between hitting it high and it not going very far. It's a myth. If you're hitting it so high that it's not going anywhere, there's something wrong. Go back to number 1. You've got a glancing blow going on.
Yeah, understand. Okay, Robin. So I would, just have a play with that, depending on what equipment you've got to measure attack. The height. What should he be launched? What, 40s, something like that? 12 to 14 degrees, something like that.
Depends a bit on the club head speed, Stevie. So
Robin swings it pretty. He will be. We need to just watch. He would need to just watch his launch angle.
Yeah. So tour average is 11 degrees, 10, 11 degrees.
Okay.
If he's swinging it slow, launching it 14. If his angle of attack's not good, he's sitting down on it. He's got massive spin lock anywhere.
Yeah.
And it'll be spinning into the wind. So if he gets it spinning high into the wind, it's coming back over his head.
Yeah. Got it. And then double check then possibly, I know club fittings before, but just making sure the equipment to match up whatever he wants to hit up on it, right? Assuming it's that middle.
Massive. Whatever you're doing, driver tour player these days, anyone should get fit.
Yeah. Okay. Adding to this, knowing you are supposed to hit up, how much is too much?
There's a school of thought. Yeah. So remember that the tour guys, knowing they should hit up, still down, because they like to hit fairways to pay their mortgage to see their wife. So my sort of rule on it is that if you don't have any speed at all, you've really got to take advantage possibly of hitting up on it. So say you're really slow, and if you're slow on tour, they have the best launch condition. If you're very fast, okay, so take it the other way round. The worst launch conditions on tour probably is Cameron Champ.
Really?
Who launches it 6 degrees with the driver. But when you're swinging at 129 degrees, who cares? He can launch it low, high, medium. He can do whatever he wants to do. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So you have to marry the launch. So although with every long drive competitor, they need to be at least more than up. For your average, if he loves hitting a fairway at 2 down and he hits it far enough, who cares about the angle of attack? If you're a long driver, you need to have a high angle of attack, as you will not win a tournament. And if you're only swinging it at you better go down as you'll never get the ball in the air.
Okay, cool. There we go then. I mean, if there's any questions, and people watch this after live anyway, so if people watching it on any other, just fire us the questions. We'll come back to you. Luke now as well, so I'm sure he'll chime in on this particular thread in the as well. So sort of just watch after live and don't holding questions, firing questions at us. Any questions you have, we'd love to have them, and we can answer for you guys. So that pretty much sums our bit up. Hand it back over to us, who will conclude everything. Always a pleasure, you and I chatting.
Good to see you, boys. Thanks for me on. Thanks, Stevie.
No, just thought I'd jump on, guys, at the end here and say, Lee, thank you so much for giving us a part of your evening. We really enjoyed it, everyone.
Sound for you guys.
Let me unmute myself.
I can't hear you.
Okay. Oh no, that's fine. He can't hear me.
You hear
so I
him?
just can't hear him on our other chat.
There he is. There he is. You're in.
I'm back. Lee, just want to say a
it.
huge thank you this evening, giving up part of your evening. We really, really appreciate it. I know the group appreciates it. As Steve said, a lot of people will watch this back tonight, tomorrow. I know they'll throw some more questions, some more comments. I've already made a load of notes, and what I'll do, I'll throw some little bits up in the group, and I've got you've blown a couple of myths for me this evening. The low and slow thing, I've always kind of been really controlled on my backswing. And I'm a big fan of Matthew Wolf. As soon as I saw that picture of Sneed, I was like, the current man I know that does that huge heel lift is Wolf. It's good to hear that that's not. It's not a negative thing. He's on the pro. It's just good to see that movement is okay and in fact encouraged. So. Really, really useful. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you for joining us and getting Lee on here as well. So, guys, thank you very much, and everybody else. We will see you later on. See ya.